Welcome, everyone, to the U Plus AI podcast. I'm your host, Ranga Sampath. I have with me today Nikos Green. We just completed a podcast recording with Nikos and his colleague Eva at Rox Health. We talked a lot about what they do at Rox Health, how they are working with startups who are having solutions to develop digital biomarkers for Alzheimer's disease, and what their journey is to get such products into the German market. So be sure to catch that podcast on uplusai.com and in all popular podcast apps. I have with me Nikos Green, and he's going to introduce himself. Welcome, Nikos.
Thank you, Ranga. Thanks for having me. So yeah, I'm Nikos Green, and by training I'm a cognitive scientist, neuroscientist. And so after my PhD, I ventured out in the world of health startups. Did that for a while, but I think it was quite early, 2013, 14. Then I worked for some time as a consultant in various positions, and now I'm with Rox since July, and there I'm working on the neuroscience track at the moment, focused on Alzheimer's disease.
Yeah, it sounds fascinating, Nikos. Okay, so we get into our fun segments in this podcast. So the first one I call true or false. And you must be doing this in school, right? So it should be a piece of cake for you. So I'm going to give you a statement.
So long ago.
So I'm going to give you a statement, and you're going to tell me it's true or false, and then explain why you think that's the way. Again, there are no right or wrong answers. It's just your perspective on that.
Sure.
So, true or false? The best person who knows about my physical conditions is myself. AI will change that. True or false?
I would say false, because the best person to know about my health is my spouse.
That's a good one.
It's always having a good external condition, and with AI, probably even better.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. That's cool. So let's get into our next segment. I call this fill in the blanks. And here I give you a statement, and you have to fill in wherever I say dash dash. It could be one word or multiple words. So let's get to fill in the blanks.
Sure.
The biggest challenge in the adoption of a digital health app is dash.
Making users familiar with it. So it's shall I elaborate, or?
I mean, please explain why you think that is what is the biggest challenge.
Yeah, so at the moment, I think both on the actual people with a condition, but also the physicians using it are not very familiar with it. So they don't know how to handle maybe the input that you get from, or the insight, not the input, the insight you get. And this is also from the providers of these apps. That's still where the most of the gaps are. And I think once these are filled, then I think we will sort of solve that issue.
Okay. Let's move on to our next segment. I call this Imagine. And in this, I give you a scenario. It's just 10 years from now. It's a healthcare scenario. And you can let your imagination run riots and tell us how that'll be 10 years from now. Okay? So here's the scenario. It's the year 2030. You're having dinner in a fancy restaurant. You notice just towards the end of the dinner that you get a skin itch that then quickly develops into a rash. Suddenly you notice that your lips are not that pink anymore, and you have a slight difficulty in speaking as well. So tell us, walk us through your imagination of how this would be resolved in 2030.
Yeah, so first, I guess I would have some alcohol checker, which I use with my phone to see, you know, how much wine I already had. In terms of the speaking condition, no, I think I would basically imagine that as a wearable, right? That's maybe even integrated into my clothing, and I would be actually quite surprised if it wouldn't have noticed me beforehand, right? That there's something coming up. But you could also imagine the situation, you know, I ate something, you know, and that caused maybe an allergic reaction, right? So I would possibly make a picture of the dinner, upload it, and together with my, you know, constantly monitored data, I would get a list of possibilities, right? And maybe also risk factors, whether I should go and, you know, go to the hospital, I guess, because it's in the evening, or possibly to, I mean, I've seen this in China, or to a box basically where I could be scanned thoroughly with some, you know, medical grade equipment that is not handheld.
Okay, so you're saying it's not a hospital, but it's like a kiosk or a booth where you just enter and there's a more thorough checkup done there. Okay.
So this, this is how I would imagine.
And perhaps a self-driving car to take you there, or maybe a drone to drop you some medical supplies.
Yes, that's all in the medical realm. Even, you know, maybe something that's printed on or you know, produced at the point of usage. You know, I don't know. I mean, that's not even so far away. I don't know whether, you know, in China they have these booths for a couple of, you know, the major diseases, let's say, and where you already have also the pills coming out. If you, you know, if you fall into one of these, I guess they do a couple, like 100 different types of diseases.
Wow.
I mean, there are, when you look at the code books, there are over a couple of thousand. So that doesn't sound like a lot, but for this kind of things, I definitely can imagine to have a solution like that.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Certainly fascinating. And we should revisit it in 2030 to see where we are. Yeah. So we move on to another segment of the U+AI podcast. This is called Tweet Saves the Day. So here I give you a scenario, and you can save the day by writing a tweet. And so I would ask you to share that tweet with us, right? So here's your scenario. Are you a Twitter person?
No.
Okay.
I diverge with my colleagues there because I still like to write letters.
Okay.
I can think about it, but
okay.
Go ahead.
I'll go ahead.
It's 100 words or 100 symbols or 150, right?
Right. So here's a scenario. Digital health therapeutic apps are not the same as real chemical drugs, and therefore must never be used, says one advocacy group. You're given a chance to write a tweet to address the tension that's arising out of this. What would you write?
That's a good one. To be honest, I'm lost for words at the moment, but let me, if you give me a minute, I'll think about it.
That's fine. I mean, I got all the time.
Yeah. Probably like a tweet. Something, I mean, I guess give a case something like, beware, a life was saved through a digital therapeutic. And then link to the case with everything. I think so, yeah.
Okay, so basically try to tone down saying that, hey, you know, look at the evidence on this side too, rather than having a strong opinion of not using it. Maybe, you know, present the evidence for the digital therapeutics and see how that goes.
Yeah.
All right.
I think so.
Sounds good. So thank you, Nikos. That was real fun talking to you. And we got some of your interesting responses. And it was really fun to talk about you. And of course, in the podcast, we covered your work. So I would really encourage listeners and viewers who are seeing this to also go to uplusai.com, and in the popular podcast apps, search for the U+AI podcast and go to the episode with Nikos Green and his colleague Eva Poggio. We talked a lot about the digital health apps, how they're getting in the German healthcare market, and specifically with a focus on neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. So thank you once again, Nikos. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, my pleasure, and wishing you all the best for next year, and happy holidays.
Sure. Happy holidays. Bye-bye.